Hi guys and welcome to my new blog post 8, and in this blog post I'm going to discuss about entity relational model. So let's start. So basically when we talk about entity relation model, basically ER model basically defines the conceptual view of a database. It works around like real world entities and the associations among them. At view level, the ER model is basically considered a good option for designing database. So you need to look at your surroundings for the entities, and then you need to associate those entities with each other because they will have some kind of relationship. So when we are talking about entity relationship model, we need to talk about entities first. So let's move towards entity. So what basically entity is? So basically, by definition, an entity can be a real world object, either animate or inanimated, that can be easily identifiable. For example, there is a school database, and students, teacher, classes, and courses offered can be considered as entities, right? And all these entities have some attributes or properties that give them that kind of like their personal identity. An entity set is basically a collection of a similar types of entity. An entity set may contain entities with attribute sharing similar values. For example, student set may contain all the students of a school. Likewise, a teacher set may contain all the teachers of a school from all faculties. So entity sets need not be disjoint. By this means, like when we are talking about like students, so it is quite possible like you are creating a separate entity as a student. So students table could be uh, a student could be a separate table, as well as if you identify teachers as separate identities, so teachers can be also another table within database. So this is the basic, real, small conceptualized concept of entity. Coming towards attributes, so basically when we talk about attributes, these are basically entities are basically represented by means of their properties, and these properties are called attributes. All attributes have some kind of value in them, and for example, when we talk about attributes, a student entity may have a name, class, age, uh, the courses that he actually studies, attendance, and things like that. So there exists a certain domain or range of values that can be assigned to attributes. For example, a student name cannot be a numeric value. You can't name a person like 1 2 3 4 5 6, and it has to be alphabetic, for example Ahmed or something like that. And likewise, when we talk about a student's age, it cannot be negative. It should always be a positive number. It should be greater than uh, 1, greater than or equal to 1. So when we talk about attributes, there are multiple types of attributes that we talk about. So first attribute, which is being shown on the slide, is simple attribute. So what does that mean? So it means that simple attributes are basically just atomic values which cannot be divided further. And for example, when we talk about a student's phone number, it's basically an atomic value. It has certain digits and they cannot be uh, more sliced in order to get the information. Next one is composite attribute. Composite attribute is basically a concatenation of uh, two or more simple attributes. So composite attributes are basically made of more than one simple attribute. For example, a student name may have first and last name. So Ahmed and Mohammed is basically these are basically these could be first and the last name of two uh, of a one person's name. So when I actually concatenate them or like combine them, I will get a composite attribute, which could be Ahmed, Mohammed. So next one is basically derived attributes. So derived attributes are basically the attributes that actually do not exist in the physical database. They are actually not in the file, but logically they can be extracted. So you can actually drive their values from actually other attributes that are actually present in the database. For example, you can actually talk about like what is the average salary rate in a certain department, what is the average age factor in a particular class, and you don't need to save this kind of information in the database directly. Instead, you need to store granular information like salary of individual person and salary of ages of students in that database, right? Another example could be like you need to get the age from date of birth. Like if you know the month, date, and year of a certain person, which is actually date of birth, so you can extract out the the age of that certain person. Next comes the single value attributes. So single value attributes mean contain like it contains a single value, uh, for example, social security number or national identification number. But it can be or cannot be a simple attribute because uh, like a simple attribute will always be a single value attribute, but single value attribute, it doesn't necessarily means like it could be uh, it could be possible like it is not a simple attribute. For example, when we talk about national identification numbers, so that can be broken down into multiple meaningful slices. Like you can actually get the pretty good idea about like by looking into the national identification number, you can actually get pretty good idea about like what is the location of that person. Last thing is multi-value attribute. So multi-value attributes actually may contain more than one values. So for example, a person can have more than one phone number, email addresses, home addresses. He may choose multiple courses. A student may choose multiple courses. Teacher is teaching multiple classes. So there, these are actually multiple value attributes that can be assigned to a certain entity. So these types can actually be combined together as well. Like you can combine simple attribute with the single value attribute and simple value with multi-valued attributes. You can also use like composite attribute with single value attributes and composite with multi-valued attributes. So this is the pretty much simple idea about the entity and respective attributes. So in next blog, I'm going to discuss about the relationships. We have already discussed about relationships in another video, but I will repeat that again. So I hope that you have got the concept of the idea idea of the entity relational model. So please do not forget to subscribe, like, and share my YouTube channel Yasir Fazal. And please do not forget to hit the bell icon so you should get the latest video as soon as it is uploaded. And as always, please spread the knowledge. Thank you.